Sex during menstruation is a topic that often elicits a range of feelings, opinions, and misconceptions. From cultural taboos to medical advice, the conversation around sexual activity during this time is multifaceted and deserves a closer examination. Let's delve into the various perspectives surrounding sex during periods while focusing on the medical viewpoint. First, it is imperative to recognize that menstruation is a natural biological process experienced by individuals with a uterus. The menstrual cycle, on average, lasts about 28 days, although it can vary widely from person to person. During this cycle, hormonal changes trigger the shedding of the uterine lining when pregnancy does not occur. This shedding results in menstruation, which typically lasts between 3 to 7 days. While some individuals may experience discomfort, cramps, or mood swings, others may not feel any significant symptoms. When it comes to the idea of having sex during a period, it's essential to acknowledge that preferences will vary among individuals and their partners. Many people may feel uncomfortable with the thought of engaging in sexual activities while menstruating due to taboo or cultural beliefs. However, from a medical perspective, it is generally safe to have sex during this time, provided that certain considerations are taken into account. Physiologically, sexual activity during menstruation does not pose health risks for most individuals. In fact, some reports suggest that sexual intimacy during this time may even provide certain benefits. For instance, the release of endorphins during orgasm can help alleviate menstrual cramps and reduce emotional turmoil. Additionally, the increased blood flow to the pelvic region can enhance arousal, possibly leading to heightened pleasure. It's essential, however, to discuss the potential concerns surrounding this practice. A common worry is the increased risk of infections. While menstrual blood is not inherently harmful, it can create a suitable environment for bacteria if proper hygiene is not maintained. Therefore, both partners should prioritize cleanliness to mitigate any potential risks. Vaginal washing prior to sexual activity can help to minimize concerns about hygiene and keep both individuals comfortable during the act. Another aspect to consider is the risk of sexually transmitted infections. Engaging in unprotected sex, whether during menstruation or not, can lead to the transmission of STIs, including HIV. Condoms are highly recommended in such scenarios, as they not only protect against STIs but also help contain the menstrual blood, which may make the experience more palatable for those who have reservations about the messiness involved. Moreover, for individuals who are using tampons or menstrual cups, it's vital to be sensible about the type of contraception being used. For those relying on these menstrual products, it is advisable to remove them before engaging in sexual activity. Not only does this prevent the possibility of discomfort, but it also reduces the risk of toxic shock syndrome, a rare but serious condition that can occur, albeit infrequently, with tampon use. The idea of menstruation as a barrier to sexual activity is also somewhat flawed. Many individuals report feeling more sexually attractive and liberated during their periods, enjoying the time as an opportunity for intimacy free from concerns about unintended pregnancies. In certain cultures, menstruating individuals are seen as possessing unique spiritual qualities, contributing to their desirability. Engaging in sexual activities can, therefore, be viewed as an opportunity for deeper emotional and physical connection, transcending societal taboos. Furthermore, understanding the emotional aspects of sex during menstruation is also crucial. Many people may feel self-conscious or embarrassed about their bodies during their periods. Concerns regarding odor or the visibility of menstrual products can shift focus away from intimacy and toward insecurity. Open communication between partners is fundamental in navigating these feelings, emphasizing mutual support and understanding. Discussing anxiety or discomfort can lead to discovering alternative ways to connect without engaging in penetrative sex, such as cuddling or manual stimulation, thereby fostering bonding even when menstrual flow is present. From a psychological perspective, the intimacy released during sexual activities can offer emotional comfort that some individuals may need during menstruation. Hormonal changes throughout the menstrual cycle can lead to fluctuations in mood and emotional vulnerability. Engaging in sex may provide reassurance and closeness, contributing positively to mental well-being. In some cases, physical touch and the release of oxytocin, the so-called love hormone, can enhance feelings of affection, further altering the dynamics of the menstrual experience. Examining premenstrual dysphoric disorder, PMDD, offers insight into how significant the mental impact of menstruation can be. PMDD is characterized by severe emotional and physical symptoms that may interfere with everyday life, often exacerbating relationship challenges. In some instances, consensual sexual experiences can mitigate symptoms, with heightened feelings of pleasure counteracting moodiness. However, it's crucial to assess each individual's circumstances, as some may seek solitude due to discomfort or pain rather than intimacy. For individuals who may have medical concerns that complicate sexual activity during their periods, it is essential to consult healthcare providers. Conditions like endometriosis or dysmenorrhea can heighten pain sensitivity, potentially rendering penetration uncomfortable or even unbearable for some. Open discussions with health professionals allow for tailored advice and solutions that consider personal situations. In some cases, alternative sexual practices can offer a fulfilling experience without exacerbating existing pain, maintaining a satisfying intimate relationship while accommodating medical needs. Another layer in this discussion is how societal norms have shaped attitudes towards menstruation and sexuality. For centuries, menstrual stigma has influenced perceptions, leading many to believe that periods render individuals unclean, or undesirable. This stigma is often rooted in cultural, religious, or societal influences that propagate a false narrative about menstruation. Challenging these beliefs is crucial for fostering healthier attitudes towards sexual health. Education plays a pivotal role in this transformational process. By providing accurate information about menstrual health and dispelling myths surrounding menstruation and sex, individuals can make informed decisions that align with their personal values and preferences. Schools, health organizations, and communities must work collaboratively to ensure that comprehensive sex education includes discussions on menstruation, empowering individuals to navigate their sexual health without shame or fear. At the macro level, tackling menstruation-related stigma demands advocacy. Health policies that address menstrual health as a crucial component of overall health care must be prioritized. Accessibility to menstrual products and education is essential, particularly in underserved communities where education surrounding reproductive health may be insufficient. By promoting awareness and understanding, we can dismantle harmful stigmas and cultivate a culture that embraces open discussions surrounding menstruation. In conclusion, sex during menstruation is a medically acceptable and potentially beneficial practice for many individuals. While cultural and personal barriers may create discomfort, it is crucial to acknowledge the variety that exists in individual preferences and feelings regarding intimacy during this time. By focusing on communication, education, and empathy, we can foster a healthier understanding of menstruation and its role in relationships. The conversation around sex during periods is a vital one, emphasizing both the physiological and emotional aspects that play a significant role in human connections. As we promote awareness and challenge stigmas, we pave the way for a future where menstruation is embraced as a natural part of life that does not diminish intimacy but rather enhances human relationships. The topic of engaging in sexual activity during menstruation is one that has generated a multitude of perspectives across various religious traditions. To fully understand this subject, we must explore the beliefs, cultural norms, and teachings from different faiths that influence attitudes around sex during periods. Each tradition brings its own interpretations of scripture, religious law, and cultural practices that contribute to the understanding of this matter. In the context of Christianity, the views on sexual activity during menstruation can be nuanced and vary between denominations. The Bible does not explicitly forbid sexual intercourse during a woman's menstrual period, but certain passages in the Old Testament have been cited to impose restrictions based on the concept of ritual purity. For instance, in Leviticus, there are laws regarding a woman's uncleanness during her menstrual cycle. These passages have often led to the interpretation that engaging in sexual activity during menstruation is inappropriate, not necessarily due to moral judgment but because of concerns related to cleanliness and purity. Many Christian denominations, particularly those that are more conservative, may emphasize these biblical teachings as foundational. In some circles, this leads to a belief that periods are a time of impurity, and thus, sexual relations should be avoided. Others may interpret these teachings in a more contextual light, considering the cultural setting of the ancient laws and recognizing that much of the concern revolves around ritual purity rather than personal or marital intimacy. More progressive Christian communities might advocate for a deeper understanding of the human relationship, suggesting that sexual intimacy can be an expression of love and connection, regardless of menstrual status. For many Orthodox Jews, the laws surrounding sexual activity during menstruation are rooted in the teachings of the Torah and rabbinical interpretation. The concept of niddah, referring to a woman's status during her menstrual cycle, delineates strict rules about sexual intimacy. According to Halakha, a Jewish woman is considered niddah when she is menstruating, and during this time, sexual relations are prohibited. However, this practice is deeply embedded in a broader context of sexual ethics and marital sanctity. The period of niddah is not simply seen as a time of abstention, but also as a time that can foster emotional intimacy in the relationship. Once the menstrual period has ended, the woman undergoes a ritual purity process called the mikveh, which allows her and her husband to resume sexual relations. The laws surrounding niddah serve to heighten the sanctity of the marital relationship, transforming the act of sexual intimacy into a more significant and spiritually meaningful event. While the rules can appear strict, many couples view this time as an opportunity to develop other forms of intimacy, reinforcing emotional connections and communication within the marriage. In Islam, the perspective on sexual activity during menstruation is similarly shaped by religious teachings found in the Quran and Hadith. The Quran explicitly states that women should not engage in sexual intercourse during their menstrual periods. This injunction is often interpreted as a means of upholding the sanctity of both the woman and the act of intimacy. The Prophet Muhammad also emphasized the need for emotional support and respect for women's experiences during menstruation, which indicates a recognition of the complexities surrounding this natural biological process. However, Islamic teachings also make clear that menstruation does not diminish a woman's worth or her role within the family. Menstruating women can still engage in various forms of intimacy, emotional connection, and companionship with their spouses. The emphasis is placed on mutual respect and understanding, which suggests that while the act of intercourse is prohibited, other expressions of love and connection are not only permissible but encouraged. The overarching theme in Islam promotes compassion and care for women during their menstrual cycles, reinforcing the idea that marriage should be a partnership grounded in empathy. In Hinduism, attitudes towards sexual activity during menstruation can be diverse, influenced by historical, cultural, and regional factors. Traditional Hindu beliefs often regard menstruation as a time of impurity, leading to restrictions on various activities, including sexual relations. Manusmriti, an ancient legal text, outlines rules about a woman's menstrual period, reinforcing the idea that women should refrain from certain practices during this time. Traditionally, some households may observe a practice of isolation during menstruation, wherein women are segregated and kept away from religious rituals and daily activities. Nevertheless, as with other religions, interpretations of these practices can vary widely. Many modern Hindu couples seek to challenge conventional notions regarding menstruation, advocating for a more progressive perspective that embraces the natural biological process without the accompanying stigma. Some view menstruation as a time for rest and self-care rather than a period of shame, emphasizing a holistic approach to health and intimacy that includes open discussions about bodily functions. This evolving conversation is reshaping traditional views, particularly among younger generations who are seeking to reconcile spiritual beliefs with contemporary understandings of gender and sexuality. Buddhism presents a different framework, particularly when considering the cultural practices of different regions influenced by Buddhist teachings. Generally, Buddhism does not provide explicit guidelines about sexual activity during menstruation. Instead, the emphasis is often placed on mindfulness, compassion, and understanding between partners. Many Buddhists would argue that the focus should remain on the quality of the relationship and the mutual respect between partners, rather than adhering to a specific prohibition based on the menstrual cycle. In some cultures influenced by Buddhism, there may exist certain taboos surrounding menstruation, including beliefs that it is a time of spiritual disconnect or physical impurity. However, these views tend to stem more from cultural rather than doctrinal teachings. The underlying Buddhist principles of compassion and wisdom encourage an open dialogue about the natural processes of life and how they affect relationships. Thus, for many Buddhists, engaging in sexual activity during menstruation could be perceived as a matter of personal choice, guided by the values of love and mutual understanding rather than dictated by religious law. As we examine these diverse religious perspectives, it becomes evident that attitudes towards sex during menstruation are profoundly influenced by cultural interpretations and individual beliefs. Across Christian, Jewish, Islamic, Hindu, and Buddhist traditions, we find a rich tapestry of beliefs that dictate how menstruation is viewed within the context of sexual intimacy. These teachings have the power to shape societal norms and individual experiences, yet they are not monolithic. Within each tradition, there are voices advocating for a shift towards understanding and empathy in the face of traditional restrictions. The intersection of religious belief and personal experience plays a crucial role in how individuals navigate their understanding of menstruation and sexuality. For many, the exploration of these beliefs can foster deeper conversations about intimacy, respect, and the natural rhythms of life. There is a growing recognition within many communities that hormonal changes and bodily processes are integral to the human experience, deserving of respect and understanding rather than shame. Interestingly, the dialogue surrounding sex during menstruation has also been influenced by broader movements advocating for women's rights and gender equality. As conversations around women's health and sexuality continue to gain traction, religious communities are increasingly called to consider how their teachings can evolve to reflect contemporary understandings. This evolution does not necessarily mean a complete departure from tradition. Rather, it can signify a re-examination of ancient teachings through a modern lens, one that prioritizes the well-being and dignity of women. In this context, educating individuals and communities about menstrual health can help dismantle stigmas, leading to more open discussions in religious settings about sexuality, intimacy, and the human experience. By recognizing menstruation as a natural part of life, we can cultivate an atmosphere of support rather than shame, allowing for more informed and compassionate engagements with the topic. Navigating the terrain of sexual activity during menstruation from a religious perspective ultimately calls for an acknowledgement of individual agency and experience. While religious teachings provide valuable guidelines for many believers, personal beliefs, cultural influences, and mutual respect between partners must also be considered. As communities engage in these conversations, they pave the way for deeper understanding, closing the gap between tradition and modernity. As we stand at this crossroads of tradition and contemporary understanding, it becomes apparent that a unifying principle threads through all these discussions: empathy. Empathy fosters safe spaces for dialogue, enabling couples to explore their experiences of intimacy while honoring religious beliefs and cultural norms. Engaging with this topic openly allows for the dismantling of taboos surrounding menstruation and sexual activity, promoting an atmosphere of respect and understanding. Moving forward, it is vital for religious communities to facilitate discussions surrounding menstruation and sexuality, allowing individuals to express their thoughts and experiences without fear of judgment. By encouraging dialogue, these communities can foster environments that promote health, respect, and understanding, nurturing deeper connections among couples regardless of their religious affiliation. Ultimately, the understanding of sex during menstruation through a religious lens offers a dimension of exploration that extends beyond mere prohibition or permissibility. It invites broader conversations about human relationships, intimacy, and the sacred nature of human connection. In a world filled with varied perspectives, striving for understanding through empathy can reshape the narratives surrounding menstruation and sexuality, promoting a culture of respect and love that transcends the boundaries of religious differences. Emphasizing the importance of emotional connection, compassion, and awareness encourages individuals and couples to approach their intimate experiences with tenderness, fostering an atmosphere where love, respect, and understanding can thrive.